Semantic differential. Semantic differential, SD, is a type of rating scale designed to measure the connotative meaning of objects, events, and concepts. The connotations are used to derive the attitude towards the given object, event or concept. Charles E. Osgood's theory of the semantic differential was an application of his more general attempt to measure the semantics or meaning of words, particularly adjectives, and their referent concepts. The respondent is asked to choose where his or her position lies, on a scale between two polar adjectives, for example, adequate inadequate, good evil or valuable worthless. Semantic differentials can be used to measure opinions, attitudes and values on a psychometrically controlled scale. Theoretical background. Nominalists and realists. Theoretical underpinnings of Charles E. Osgood's semantic differential have roots in the medieval controversy between the nominalists and realists. Nominalists asserted that only real things are entities and that abstractions from these entities, called universals, are mere words. The realists held that universals have an independent objective existence. Osgood's theoretical work also bears affinity to linguistics and general semantics and relates to Korzybski's structural differential. Use of adjectives. The development of this instrument provides an interesting insight into the broader area between linguistics and psychology. People have been describing each other since they developed the ability to speak. Most adjectives can also be used as personality descriptors. The occurrence of thousands of adjectives in English is an attestation of the subtleties in descriptions of persons and their behavior available to speakers of English. Roger's thesaurus is an early attempt to classify most adjectives into categories and was used within this context to reduce the number of adjectives to manageable subsets, suitable for factor analysis. Factors of evaluation, potency, and activity. Osgood and his colleagues performed a factor analysis of large collections of semantic differential scales and found three recurring attitudes that people use to evaluate words and phrases: evaluation, potency, and activity. Evaluation loads highest on the adjective pair good-bad. The strong-weak adjective pair defines the potency factor. Adjective pair active-passive defines the activity factor. These three dimensions of effective meaning were found to be cross-cultural universals in a study of dozens of cultures. This factorial structure makes intuitive sense. When our ancestors encountered a person, the initial perception had to be whether that person represents a danger. Is the person good or bad? Next, is the person strong or weak? Our reactions to a person markedly differ if perceived as good and strong, good and weak, bad and weak, or bad and strong. Subsequently, we might extend our initial classification to include cases of persons who actively threaten us or represent only a potential danger, and so on. The evaluation, potency and activity factors thus encompass a detailed descriptive system of personality. Osgood's semantic differential measures these three factors. It contains sets of adjective pairs such as warm cold, bright dark, beautiful ugly, sweet bitter, fair unfair, brave cowardly, meaningful meaningless. The studies of Osgood and his colleagues revealed that the evaluative factor accounted for most of the variance in scalings, and related this to the idea of attitudes. Subsequent studies, factors of typicality, reality, complexity, organization and stimulation. Studies using the SD found additional universal dimensions. More specifically, several researchers reported a factor of typicality that included scales such as regular rare, typical exclusive, or reality, imaginary real, evident fantastic, abstract concrete, as well as factors of complexity, complex simple, unlimited limited, mysterious usual, improvement or organization, regular spasmodic, constant changeable, organized disorganized, precise indefinite, stimulation, interesting boring, trivial new. Nobel Prize-winning psychologist Daniel Kahneman's doctoral thesis was on the subject of the semantic differential. Usage. The semantic differential is today one of the most widely used scales used in the measurement of attitudes. One of the reasons is the versatility of the items. The bipolar adjective pairs can be used for a wide variety of subjects, and as such the scale is called by some the ever-ready battery of the attitude researcher. A specific form of the SD, projective semantics method uses only most common and neutral nouns that correspond to the 7 groups, factors, of adjective scales most consistently found in cross-cultural studies: evaluation, potency, activity as found by Osgood, and reality, organization, complexity, limitation as found in other studies. In this method, 7 groups of bipolar adjective scales corresponded to 7 types of nouns, so the method was thought to have the object scale symmetry, OSS, between the scales and nouns for evaluation using these scales. For example, the nouns corresponding to the listed 7 factors would be beauty, power, motion, life, work, chaos, law. Beauty was expected to be assessed unequivocally as very good on adjectives of evaluation-related scales, life as very real on reality-related scales, etc. However, deviations in this symmetric and very basic matrix might show underlying biases of 2 types: scales-related bias and objects-related bias. This OSS design had meant to increase the sensitivity of the SD method to any semantic biases in responses of people within the same culture and educational background. Statistical properties. 5 items, 5 bipolar pairs of adjectives, have been proven to yield reliable findings, which highly correlate with alternative Likert numerical measures of the same attitude. One problem with this scale is that its psychometric properties and level of measurement are disputed. The most general approach is to treat it as an ordinal scale, but it can be argued that the neutral response, i.e. the middle alternative on the scale, serves as an arbitrary 0 point, and that the intervals between the scale values can be treated as equal, making it an interval scale. A detailed presentation on the development of the semantic differential is provided in Cross-Cultural Universals of Effective Meaning. David R. Heiser's Surveying Cultures provides a contemporary update with special attention to measurement issues when using computerized graphic rating scales. Verhagen and colleagues introduce a framework for adequate development and usage of the semantic differential. The framework advocates particular attention for collecting the set of relevant bipolar scales, linguistic testing of semantic bipolarity, and establishing semantic differential dimensionality. Application in CIA psychological warfare. In 1958, as part of the MK Ultra program, the CIA gave Osgood $192,975 to finance a worldwide study of 620 keywords in 30 cultures using semantic differential. This research was used by the CIA to create more effective culturally specific propaganda in the service of destabilizing foreign governments. An example can be found in Chilean newspaper El Mercurio, CIA funded from 1970 to 1973. Semantic differential was used to identify the words that would most effectively engender a negative attitude towards the Socialist Allende administration in the Chilean population.